Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Me Time. Today is Wifey Wednesday, Me Time, and everybody needs a little me time, and I want to acknowledge you today for being here with me, taking a little time out of your busy schedule to take time for yourself, to learn something awesome, learn something new that's important for you. I am love coach Heather Hundhausen, and as a powerful, world-changing woman like yourself, I know that sometimes there can be a struggle between being in control and surrendering in order to access that full light inside of you so that you can shine your light out into the world. And I help women to learn how to do that, learn how to surrender, to shine their own light really brightly. So I'm super glad that you're here today. And if you didn't have a healthy relationship or a role model growing up, sometimes what happens is we try to create one by having rules and guidelines and formulas to follow. That's what those of us who are analyzers, that's what we did. We tried to come up with some kind of rules to follow. And this is where we get ruminating thoughts and OCD behavior and anxiety and things like that, because we're trying to stay within these rules that we've made for ourselves. And so as you can see, today's topic is we're going to talk about maybe throwing some of those rules out, and instead, what are the rules for love? So I know, because I was there, I did that, I tried to follow the formula. And so for those of you who are formula followers, I'm so sorry to tell you that the formula is never going to work. Especially not in an intimate relationship. The formula is only going to keep you disconnected and separate, because as you're in your thinking mind, you're separate from your feeling self, and then you're separate from being in the now. So the juicy, amazing closeness happens when you throw the formula out, and you get to surrender into what is and go with what's happening inside of you. Letting yourself feel it completely, letting yourself be seen, and sharing it with the person you love. And you can do this when you're completely self-expressed. When you learn to let the walls of protection down and you come into your true self by loving yourself completely, that's when you can feel this. Our pain and our suffering actually comes from our attachment to what we believe is true. And so we get to learn how to look at how our beliefs were formed, so that we can find out new, more supportive beliefs and learn how to detach from those things that we have attachment to, because that's actually what causes us so much pain and suffering. So for the next few weeks, I'm planning on going live every day to show you how you can have more self-love in your life, because self-love is the root of all healing, and not having it is actually the root of all pain and suffering. So I want to show you how to not suffer anymore. I want to show you how to bring peace and love and healing into your life, into your body, into your relationships. And Wifey Wednesday, even if you're not a wife right now, if you're not married, maybe you want to be a wife, maybe you have wife goals, maybe you want to have an intimate, close, connected partner, this is for you. So here's exactly what I'm going to be sharing today. I'm going to share 6 specific things that you can do to keep your relationship flowing and prevent it from getting stagnant or stifled or like naggy and suffocated, because nobody likes a nag, right? So let's learn how to stop being naggy. Nobody wants to feel abandoned, where you feel like your partner isn't there for you, and nobody also wants to feel like smothered. And that's what happens when we have these rules for ourselves in relationships. So let's stop doing that. And before we get started, please share this video with your friends and your family so that they can get this information too. Go ahead and just invite them, hit the share button, invite them right into the Beautifully Authentic Facebook group so they can learn about self-love and have peace in their lives too. Just take 2 seconds to think about who you know, because we all know somebody who could use a little bit more love and a little less rule following today, so that they can have more peace in their lives. They will thank you for thinking of them as they learn these tricks and these tools and these awesome 6 tips that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So if you have any questions for me, just go ahead and write them down in the comments. I can look at them there, and I'll be answering them at the end of the talk, okay? So how to not strangle your relationship with rules and stay in the flow. So I want to start by asking you, where did you get your rules from? It's a good thing to think about. Where did your partner get his rules from? Or if you're in a same-sex relationship, where did she get her rules from? Do you know that you're playing this relationship game together in order to trigger each other? Usually when I say that, people go like, what? Why do I want to be in a relationship that triggers me? Yeah, when you trigger each other, what's really cool about being triggered by your partner is it shows you where you're contracted. It shows you where your limitation is. And when you discover your limitation, then you have the opportunity to grow into your full self and not have that limitation anymore. You can grow in love. So love actually doesn't have any rules, and we're going to get into how love doesn't have rules and why we're going to actually throw all the rules out. But the second tip here that I want to talk about is rules aren't the same as boundaries. So you need boundaries. Boundaries are really important, and part of boundaries is making agreements with people. So rules are like, I say what the rule is and you follow the rule, and they're strict and they're punishable. So agreements aren't like that. Agreements aren't I'm right and you're wrong. Agreements aren't you did it wrong, you should do it better, you should do it my way is the best, what's wrong with you, right? Yeah. That's what happens when we get naggy. So this is actually when we take the shame that's inside of us and we throw it onto somebody we love. Supposedly we love the person that we're putting all of this onto. I say that because you aren't actually experiencing love in that moment, because love wouldn't do that. It's just not what love does. Oh, the cat hair gets me every time. So what loving someone isn't telling them that they're doing it wrong or criticizing them. That's not love. So if you're doing that and you're saying, oh, I'm doing it because I love someone, that's not love at all. Think about it. Even if you experience self-love, you wouldn't do that to yourself. You wouldn't beat yourself up, because that's not what love is. So what are your rules about love? What rules are you playing by right now? I think it's really good to acknowledge what rules they are. If you want to put them in the comments as you think about what rules are you playing by, I think it's good to write it down so we can share with each other and we can see. And then how are the people that you love, how are they supposed to act? Like, do you have rules in your mind about how they're supposed to act? Is there a way that you're supposed to act? Is there a correct way to act in relationship? And I want you to think about it for a minute and think about like how ridiculous that is, because there's no right or wrong way to act. Hi, Valerie, I'm so glad. Yeah, we're getting into it right now. So rules are strict and punishable, and what I'm in right now is step number 2, which is boundaries. So boundaries are different from rules, and I was saying what boundaries aren't, which is when you throw your opinion and your judgment onto somebody else. Rules are strict and rules are punishable, and that's not love. So that's why we want to throw the rules out, and instead we're going to do these 6 things instead. So number 2 is we're going to have boundaries. So what's kind of ridiculous about this, like I'm supposed to act like this or he's supposed to act like that, is that really truly love is a feeling. Okay, it's a deep heart offering. It's my experience of it is God flowing through me. It's in the moment. It's like tears. Like, think about tears. There's no right or wrong way to experience sadness or cry. It just happens. And love is like that, but in our society, we've contorted it and we've twisted it, and we make up all these rules and attachments, and we say, if you love me, then you'll act like this. But that's not actually true. So when all else fails, step number 2 with boundaries is bring yourself back into love. Bring up the intention of love into your heart. The same way that you could say, okay, I have experienced something really sad in my life. You could think about that and it could literally make you cry right now. You can do the same thing with love. You can say, I want to pull up love in my heart. I want to feel love, and you can literally pull that up. And when love is in your heart, it's very hard for anything else to exist there. All of your words change when you saturate them with love. It doesn't matter if you're saying, like, take out the trash, it's been 5 days and you promised me you would do it. If you say it with love, it's going to come out so differently if you say it with your heart open. So if you have to have a formula, for those of us that have to have a formula, I'm offering you the suggestion of throwing the formula out and staying in the present moment. But if you have to have a formula, the formula would be hold the intention of love in your heart, and then of course feel your feelings and express them through the energy of love. Allow yourself to be seen by someone that you trust. So number 3. Expectations, right? So rules come with a set of expectations. Expectations are premeditated resentments. If you want to type that in the comments, that's a good one to remember. This is one of my favorite quotes, because if you expect something from someone else, like for instance, the other example there, if you expect your husband to take out the trash, then when he doesn't, you're going to resent him. And in this example, you're actually causing yourself all of the pain. People are only able to do what they're able to do. So maybe he wasn't able to take out the trash, but the fact that you think that has something to do with you, that's you causing you pain. Okay, so, and here's the tricky part. So men who, as you all know, I think are beautiful, amazing, fantastic creatures, and that when they're treated with love and respect, they will really do nothing less than everything possible in their world to try to make us happy and take care of us all the time. But what we don't understand is that they have expectations of us, and that these expectations, we're not aware of these expectations, but all of them understand it. So I think you guys know I did research on men, and I interviewed a bunch of them, and I asked them all kinds of questions. And let me go on a tangent and explain this one. You know what? Actually, I'll do this one next week. If you want to learn about something that all men know and women just don't understand, like something that runs through the fabric of all men, and women just don't understand why they do that. It's like a little secret about men. Tune in next week. I will go and write that one right now. I won't forget. We'll do that next time, Wednesday. So if you want to know about that little secret, stick with me next week. Okay, so let me get back to this. So expectations are premeditated resentments. So when we have rules, then we don't have space for humanness, and love leaves space for humanness. Okay, so number 4, attachment. This is actually what causes all of our pain. So when we have attachment to our partner, or attachment to what we think that they should be doing, or attachment to that they should be following our rules, or whatever it is that you're attached to, the opposite of attachment is meditation. So how do you release attachment? You do meditation. What happens with meditation is that it brings us into the present moment, because our thoughts are actually the thing that's causing us pain. Thoughts about the past cause us, sadness and resentment. Thoughts about the future can cause us fear and anxiety. But right here in this moment is where our pleasure and our joy is. And rules, having rules, is coming from fear. You're trying to protect yourself, and you're trying to prevent something from happening. So you're trying to prevent something that happened in the past from happening again, and you're trying to prevent it in the future from happening. And we can't control our lives like that. We can't control or predict the future. And so when you're attached to your pain that you had in the past, that's not living in the present moment. And that's the reason that you need to have rules, is in order to protect yourself. Give me some hearts and some thumbs up if this is all making sense. If you have any questions, pop them in the comment box. Okay, so number 5. So when we release attachment, then we're able to live free. And so we all desire to be loved. It's like a basic need. And we all desire freedom. And I think one of the number 1 mistakes that we make in relationships is not understanding that you can actually have both at the same time. You can have freedom and you can have love in the same moment at the same time. You don't own your partner. Your partner doesn't own you. There's no need to control what somebody else is doing. There's no need to put expectations on what somebody else is doing. The only thing you have control of is you. That's the only thing I have control of is me. The only thing you have control of is you. The only thing that's going to shift your environment is you. You can't expect somebody else to shift your environment for you. And so when I say living free, that means you get to live free, self-expressed, and you get to let your partner live free and self-expressed. And you get to accept that what they're doing is how they do it. And if you can't accept it, that's a whole other conversation about whether or not you should be with that person or not. You can learn to accept. I've definitely taught that to a lot of clients. And you can learn to accept yourself, really, first of all, so that you're able to accept what other people are doing. So when you embrace this knowledge that I'm about to share, this is where I think everything can change in a relationship. So this is what's helped me to personally be able to let go of my attachment in my relationships. One day, I'm going to die. My partner's going to die. He's going to leave. I'm going to leave. He's going to betray me, or I'm going to betray him. That's just the cold, hard truth. Just like one day you're going to die. Nobody gets out of here alive, right? This is the cold, hard truth. And I think that we spend a lot of our time making rules and trying to control things because we're trying to avoid these truths, these realities. And when you can embrace this truth, which none of us can escape, then you're free. When you embrace the fact that someday you'll die, all of a sudden you can live your life much more freely. When you embrace the fact that you're with somebody that may die or leave you or betray you, or you may do that to them, now you're free to live in the moment. Like, you grab the moment when you realize that. And when you can sit in your pain, that's when you're totally free. And so number 6 is that avoiding the pain is what causes us the trouble and causes us the rule making. It's the reason that we feel like we need to make rules. So we get to get comfortable and familiar with our pain. We get to get comfortable and familiar with our shame, because when we aren't afraid of it, then we can be in it. Okay, so it's like swimming. Do you remember swimming for the first time? A lot of us were really little when we swim for the first time, but some of us have friends that have never been comfortable in the water. So when you don't know how to swim, like, think about it, it's terrifying. You're afraid you're going to drown. But when you learn how to swim, it's a blast, like, especially if you go naked, but that's another training. So when you go swimming, now that you know how to swim, it's something that you look forward to. You look forward to jumping in and, like, the freedom of swimming, I want you to think about pain like that. So instead of trying to avoid the water, trying to avoid the pain, trying to avoid our feelings, I want you to start looking forward to being in them, like looking forward to jumping in the water and sharing them. Share your feelings, like share playing in the water with people, because that's what's going to lead us to feeling peace inside of ourselves. When we're comfortable with our own pain, when we're comfortable with our own shame and our own feelings, that's when we can truly be free. That's when we can be in the moment and we can take it for all it's worth. So, all right, let me recap all the pointers, and I may go into something a little bit more. I want to go into boundaries just a little bit more because I feel like I missed something. So, number 1, your rules and his rules, they don't match anyway, right? Like, you came from a set of rules with your parents. He came from a set of rules with his parents. They don't match up anyway. So what, like, let's just throw out rules. Like, rules are for punishment. Rules are I say so and you follow what I say. And really, they get in the way of relationships. So let's throw all the rules out and then move into number 2, which is boundaries. Throw out the rules, have boundaries, make agreements together. So what I didn't get into, and so this is when we're keeping the intention of love. So what I didn't get into is, how do we make agreements? So making agreements is, this is what I need. What do you need? And being able to express everything that, okay, I don't like, being in the kitchen and making dinner when the trash is full. And you said that you don't mind taking out the trash. So, can we have an agreement? Like, what would really work for me is when I go into the kitchen, if you could take the trash out. And then you have your partner say, yeah, that really works for me. I understand that the trash is getting in your way. And, I want to support you. And so, yeah, I can take the trash out, before you start cooking. That totally works for me. So that's an agreement when 2 people are both being an offering. They're both being a contribution. It's not, I told you to take the rules are, I told you to take the trash out by 9 p.m. You didn't take the trash out by 9 p.m. and now you're in trouble, which is the way most of us were raised. It's very different to make agreements with each other. you know, sometimes we have unspoken agreements, which those are the best. And I think the greatest part of agreements is when your partner fulfills their end of the agreement, you get to actually offer acknowledgement. And actually that's one of my favorite parts of love is I get to be an offering. When my partner does his part of the agreement, now I get to offer more love, and I get to say, oh, I'm so grateful that you did that. Thank you so much for, you know, being your word and keeping your agreement to me. It makes it so much easier for me to clean the kitchen when you take the trash out, or whatever it is that your agreement is with your partner. Okay, so number 3, expectations are premeditated resentment. When you have expectations of someone and you're holding in your mind, you've made this thing like concrete, and then they're not doing it, now they're an asshole. And truly what's happening is you're not dealing with your stuff on the inside. So number 4 is releasing your attachment. Release your attachment to the expectations, release your attachment to all of it. Okay, so this is different than I trust my partner. So I trust that my partner is doing the best that he can do at all times. And because I believe that, I'm able to release my attachment about whether or not he's doing it right or wrong. Because I believe, I trust that he is. If you're with a partner, you don't trust that they're doing it you don't trust them that they're doing the best that they can. That's internal work too, as strange as it sounds. That's about you trusting yourself. Trusting yourself. Are you safe enough to be in a relationship with? Do you keep your word? When you hold, and some of my clients will get really frustrated with me and be like, why do I have to be the one to do all the work? Okay, it's your life. Do you want to be happy? Like, you're the one who wants to be happy. So be your word, hold your integrity, do the right thing. You'll feel better, you know? And then what happens is we become a role model for our environment. Everyone in our environment starts stepping up to the plate because that's the energy of the environment. And so, yeah, it might seem a little exhausting at first because you're the only one doing it, but it actually feels really, really good. It's like jumping into the pool, right? So there we go. Now we're living with freedom and with love. That's number 5, and we're going to stop avoiding pain. Number 6, it's that idea. I'm jumping into the pool now because it actually feels good to do that. It's not, I'm not going to do this because I'm scared that, you know, I'm scared of the water. I'm scared of feeling my pain. I'm scared of letting go of my attachment. I'm scared of doing it differently. Like, that's all your stuff. So let go. Don't be afraid of doing it, doing the right thing, doing what feels good to you. Don't be afraid of being happy. Don't sabotage your own happiness, okay? So your rules and his rules don't match, throw them out. Number 2, keep your boundaries and have your intention be love. Number 3, expectations are premeditated resentment. So number 4, we're gonna release our attachment. Number 5, we're gonna live with both freedom and love. We're gonna let our partners live with both freedom and love, and we're gonna stop avoiding our pain. We're going to claim our pain. We're going to jump in the swimming pool and let ourselves feel. So, okay, if you want some homework, give me some thumbs up. I want to give you homework you can tangibly work on to make this happen in your life. Okay, so quickly before I show you what you can do, go ahead and invite your friends and family to subscribe to Beautifully Authentic. They can join the Beautifully Authentic Facebook group, and they can subscribe to Beautifully Authentic YouTube channel. So you can spend a little me time with me every day and get some of these pointers. Okay, so your homework, write down your biggest fear in your relationship. Own it. If you can't find a fear, like if you're like, I don't have any fears in my relationship, then find a pain, like a pain point. Because there's nobody in relationship. Like if you're in a relationship with somebody, there's going to be places where you get poked. That's just part of being in a relationship. And it shows you, like I said before, it shows you where you can expand. It shows you where you're limited, and it shows you where you can expand. So if you're ready to expand, do the homework. Let yourself feel your biggest problems. Let yourself feel your biggest pain, because what it's going to do is it's going to show you old pains, and it's going to show you old fears. It's going to show you old beliefs that you're bringing into the present moment. And in order to resolve all of that, you need to know what's going on. We do that, we bring all that old pain because we aren't resolved inside of ourselves. So creating peace and deep connected love in your relationships comes from coming to terms with your own pain, your own fear, your own anger, your own resentment, your own shame, all of that. So go ahead and own it. do your homework if you want to share homework. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see any questions popping up in the comment box today. So I assume that means I was super clear. And if you have any questions, put them in the comment box. If it's too personal to put in the comment box, reach out to me. We can have a conversation, no problem. Of course, if you want more information on how exactly to do this right now in your life, if you're struggling with it, you can work with me one-on-one. I am creating workshops, but they're not coming until over the summertime on self-love. And it looks like we're going to be, the first workshop I'm going to be creating is a self-love and business workshop. So if that doesn't apply to you personally, reach out to me. We can do one-on-one work. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here with me today. I want you to take the time to acknowledge yourself for taking some me time out for you today. Give yourself a little pat on the back. Give yourself a little yummy, yummy loving. Say, oh, thank you so much for doing something for me today. Thank you for letting me learn something new. I want to live a life of love and peace, and this is a way for me to get it. And I'm so grateful that I spent some time here. So say that to yourself, and I want to say that to you. I'm so grateful you're spending time, because every time you spend time with me during me time, not only are you creating some peace inside of yourself and getting some awesome pointers, but that gets to get spread out into the world. And my vision is to create peace on the planet in my lifetime. And that's why I'm doing these things every morning. So if you want peace on the planet in your lifetime every morning, help me by sharing the videos so that we can actually create that. So I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. You're already on the road to self-love if you're watching the videos. Congratulate yourself. I congratulate you. And I will see you during me time very soon. Take care.